So now that you are familiar with the usage of pointers, let us now get started with some advanced concepts related to pointers. Now to begin with, let us start with a pointer to constant and constant pointer. As you can see with the declaration or the description itself, now here it is a pointer to constant. That means the variable that it is pointing to is a constant. It need not be a constant from the declaration perspective, but from the pointer perspective, the variable is constant. That means through P, you cannot modify the content of this variable. Now, whereas constant pointer, that means when you apply this CONST keyword after asterisk, this makes the pointer as constant. That means once you initialize the pointer, you cannot modify or replace the content of it. Now that means P is given the address of A. Now when you are looking to modify P, this is not allowed because here P is a constant. Now that is the difference between these two. Now let us see that with an example here. Now in this declaration there are no constants at all. We have two variables A and B. Now we have a pointer variable and I am stressing out it is a variable. That means the value can be replaced with a new value. Now here P is now pointing to A. Now when we say asterisk P, now we get the content of A. So that means this statement will print 10. Now when we say P equal to ampersand B, we are replacing the content of P with address of B, which is absolutely valid because P is a variable. Now from this statement onwards, P is now pointing to B. When we say asterisk P, we get the content of B. Now let us see how this works. Now this is fine. You saw 10 and 20. First time it printed the value of A. Second time it printed the value of B. Now I'm going to make this as constant and see what happens. Now here P is constant. That means P cannot be modified. So this statement becomes invalid now. Now let us see if that is the case. Let's compile this program. So you can see here, you cannot assign to variable P. So that means P is a constant. Now this is fine. Now what if I make this as constant? So here P is pointing to constant integer. So that is the first case. P is pointing to constant integer. So this is valid because P is not a constant. But what is invalid, I will show you shortly. Now let's say pointer edu1.c. It compiled successfully and you will be able to see the output. Now let us see what is invalid. What I cannot do is star p equal to star p plus 1 or star p plus plus. So here I am trying to modify the content of the variable. So I am trying to increment it by 1, which is not allowed, and this is because the declaration says that the P is pointing to a constant integer. Now you may ask me a question. Here A and B are not constants, and why is this invalid? Now this is because this statement or this expression is rejected by compiler, and as per the compiler, whatever the address that is held in P, it belong to a constant integer. So based on that, this assignment is declared as invalid. Now let us see the compilation and see what is the outcome. So this is a read-only variable and it is not assignable. You can see that this is invalid. And that is the difference between a constant pointer and pointer to a constant. Now is it really useful? Absolutely. Now when we are writing a function something like this, let's say I will say copy of int star, let us say this as destination and int star source. And when I say destination equal to star source. So I'm copying the content of the variable pointed by source to the variable pointed by destination. Now this declaration looks okay for me, but technically, or if you want to be more precise, it is always better you put a constant here. This is because this declaration now states that the first argument will be modified, whereas second argument will only be read. So this is read only because you are only reading from source, whereas you are copying it to destination. Now here you are trying to modify the content, but through SRC you are not trying to modify the content. You are only looking to read the content. And this is an accurate or precise declaration, and constant should be used wherever applicable.